Hello everyone. Let's dive straight into building flows using Copilot. The formal definition of Copilot for Power Automate is an AI-powered designer that uses large language models to translate natural language descriptions into a functional cloud flow architecture. In plain everyday English, it means just tell the computer what you want and it builds the workflow for you. Imagine you are a teacher at a local school. Every time a parent sends you an email with the word permission slip, you want to save the attachment to a specific folder and send a received reply. In the old days, you had to find the right trigger, search for the save action, and connect all the pipes yourself. Now, you just type. Every time I get an email about permission slips, save the file to OneDrive and reply to the sender. The AI understands your intent and lays out the steps instantly. Stay with me here because we are moving away from technical programming and moving toward human conversation. You've probably seen this at the office where people are afraid to automate because it looks too complicated. Well, Copilot is the end of that fear. Let's break this down together. We are using our own words to build our digital assistants. So, now that we've mastered the idea that we can just talk our flows into existence, you might be wondering how the AI knows exactly which apps and connections to use. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is intent mapping and connector selection. This brings us to intent mapping. The technical definition describes this as the AI's ability to analyze a natural language string to identify the specific trigger and the sequence of actions required, while automatically suggesting the appropriate connectors. To speak naturally, it is the AI being a mind reader. When you say the word email, the AI knows you mean Outlook or Gmail. When you say message the team, it knows you mean Microsoft Teams. Imagine a dummy example. You tell Copilot, when someone fills out my survey, put their name in a list. The AI is smart enough to realize that survey means Microsoft Forms and list means SharePoint or Dataverse. It doesn't just guess, it maps your intent to the real tools. You've probably noticed at the office how hard it is to find the right app in a long list. Copilot does the searching for you. Let's break this down together. The AI is acting as our software expert who knows every connector in the building. So now that we've mastered how the AI picks the right tools for the job, you might be wondering what happens if the AI builds a flow that is mostly right, but needs a little bit of a tweak. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is conversational editing and refining. Now we need to talk about conversational refining. The technical documentation explains this as an iterative design process where you use a side panel chat interface to modify an existing flow by adding, removing, or updating actions using natural language commands. In simple everyday English, it's polishing your flow with a friend. You don't have to delete the whole thing if it's not perfect. You just keep talking to the Copilot. Imagine a dummy example. You build that permission slip flow, but then you realize, oh, I only want this to happen on weekdays. Instead of digging through settings, you just tell the Copilot in the side chat, only run this flow from Monday to Friday. The AI instantly adds a condition step to your flow. Stay with me here because this back and forth is how we reach perfection. You have probably seen this when you're explaining a task to a colleague and you say, oh, and one more thing. That's exactly how we edit with Copilot. Let's break this down together. We are co-authoring our automation with an AI partner. So now that we've mastered how to refine the steps of our journey through conversation, you might be wondering how we handle the empty boxes the AI leaves behind, like picking the specific folder or the exact email address. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is parameter configuration and filling the gaps. This brings us to parameter filling. The technical documentation defines this as the process of supplying specific values and dynamic content to the properties of a flow action that the AI has mapped but not fully configured. In plain language, it is giving the AI the specifics. The AI knows you want to save a file, but it doesn't know if you want to save it in the pizza recipes folder or the annual budget folder. You have to click on the step the AI built and pick the final destination. Imagine a dummy example. Copilot built a flow to post a message in Teams. It has the post action ready, but it leaves the channel box empty. You just click the drop-down menu and pick General. You've probably seen this when you use a GPS. It knows you want to go to Main Street, but you still have to pick the house number. Let's break this down together. Copilot builds the skeleton of the work and we provide the specific details. So now that we have mastered how to fill in the blanks to make our flow functional, you might be wondering how we ensure that the logic we spoke into existence is actually going to work when the data starts moving. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is validating and testing the AI generated logic. Let's dive into validation and testing. The formal definition describes the use of the flow checker and the test panel to ensure that the AI generated sequence follows the correct syntax and handles data types appropriately before the flow is activated. To put it very simply, it is the safety check. Just because the AI is smart doesn't mean it's perfect. We always want to make sure the pipes are connected right. Imagine a dummy example. You ask Copilot to send a summary of all new orders. The AI might build the flow, but maybe it forgot to format the numbers correctly. You hit the test button, run a manual trigger, and watch the flow run. If it fails, the flow checker will tell you exactly which step is broken. You've probably noticed at the office how one small mistake in a process can cause a big mess. Testing is how we sleep at night knowing our automation is safe. Let's break this down together. As builders, we are the inspectors who give the final stamp of approval. So, now that we've mastered how to check our work and fix the bugs, you might be wondering how we can use this natural language power to handle really complex human-like tasks, like summarizing a 50-page document or analyzing the mood of a customer. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is infusing AI builder actions into Copilot build flows. Finally, we reach intelligent action integration. This area involves adding specialized AI builder and GPT-based actions like sentiment analysis, text summarization, or entity extraction into your flow to perform high-level reasoning. In our relaxed classroom tone, it simply means giving the assistant a PhD. This is where we go from moving data to thinking about data. Imagine a dummy example. You tell Copilot, when a customer emails a complaint, summarize it into 3 bullet points and tell me if they are very angry. Copilot will not only set up the email trigger, but also add an AI builder step that reads the text and reasons through the emotions. In my 25 years, I have seen that this is the magic moment, where the machine starts understanding the quality of the work, not just the quantity. You've probably noticed at the office how much time is spent just summarizing things for your boss. Now the flow does it for you. Let's break this down together. As builders, we are creating workflows that are truly intelligent. We've looked at the mind-reading designer, the software expert mapping, the co-authoring refinement, filling in the specifics, the safety inspections, and finally giving our assistant a PhD. We've mastered building flows with Copilot. You now know how to talk your way to a more productive day. Well, that brings us right into our next chapter.